up, plant junkies? Jody here for another plant video from plantjunkiecreations.com. Today I'm going to be going over the basic plant care of one of my top favorite Hoyas, known as the Hoya Polyneura or the fishtail Hoya. The Hoya Polyneura is characterized by these fishtail looking leaves, hence why it's known for the fishtail Hoya. I think she's also known for the mermaid Hoya also. She has these long trailing branches, so she makes for a great hanging basket plant. This is my top second favorite Hoya that must have. And if I were to rate the caretaking of this plant, I would rate this as a hard to take care of plant. At least it was for me. This is my third plant, and I finally figured out what she thrives in. And I'm not sure if the trouble was because I had her imported from Thailand or if she's just a challenging plant. But she is doing well. I've had her for about 4 months now, probably a little bit longer than that. She's put off a lot of new growth, and I just wanted to share my experience with you guys. Before I get into the basic care of this Hoya, I just wanted to bring you up and personal on her leaves. She reminds me of the fern of Hoyas. She looks so similar to a fern. The light requirement for this plant can tolerate medium to bright indirect light, but she thrives best in that medium indirect light. So if you have an LED grow light, I would place a plant in front of her and just let her sit below. The soil requirement for this plant really appreciates a dense yet well-draining epiphytic mix, and I will elaborate on that. She likes to stay moist, but she doesn't want her roots to stay moist for too long, so it needs to be well draining. So she's currently in cocoa coir, perlite, and coconut husk or cocoa chips. And if I were to compare this soil composition to another Hoya, I would make the same batch for the Hoya Bella. So the soil requirement and the water requirement, which I'll get into later, is very similar to the Hoya Bella. So the soil is what I actually struggled with when I first started this plant. And what I had done when I received her from Thailand, okay, so she came with a lot of cocoa coir and very small particles of perlite. And so she was very drenched, and it took her a little while to get to me. So what I immediately did was I put her in my Hoya batch, which is very well draining and dries out very quickly, because I just thought that that's what she would like. Well, she didn't like that. She actually likes to stay moist for longer periods. So that didn't work. She died. So I ordered another one, and I decided I would just keep her in that cocoa coir that she came in, and that was too dense. She started her stem started rotting, so it was just too dense and staying wet for too long. So then I ordered for the third time. I took my cocoa coir, I added perlite and coconut husk. So I added perlite was the key, and coconut husk to help with that draining. So that's what she thrives in. The water requirement for this plant, I will water on a 7 to 10 day cycle. And for a tip for you guys, I would let it dry out almost 3/4 of the way before watering again. The watering schedule is tricky, and that's why I purposely put her in a clear pot, because originally I tried terracotta and it was really hard with how finicky she was. So I was able to best monitor her roots and her moisture level through a clear pot. So if you're gonna pot this plant, I would recommend a Hoya or an orchid pot, clear pot. She has breathing holes right here, breathing drainage holes here, here, and down below. So if you look closely at this pot, She's a little bit moist. She's actually ready to be watered. She's dry up to this line. And if you take a look at this pot, she's a lot darker. So I just watered her, and you can kind of see the difference here. Can you see the difference as far as the darkness of the soil medium? So anyways, I totally recommend the clear pots because you can monitor that root growth. And I purchased these pots off of Amazon. It comes in 5 inches and 6 inches and works really well in, I think this is a 5-inch pot right here. So 5-inch plastic, 5-inch terracotta. The fertilizer requirement for this Hoya, you typically want to fertilize 2 times a month during the growing season. This Hoya has a lot of green foliage, so she does appreciate being fertilized and puts off more growth if you're doing so. And what I like to use and works best for me, I rotate between, and the first one being Gringo Rasta Rise Up. This has microbials in it to help absorb other nutrients and keep bad bacteria from forming, and also helps with root development. Another fertilizer I like to use on this plant is hydrolyzed fish seaweed fertilizer from Neptune Harvest. So the propagation of this plant was really simple, and originally I had taken propagations from the first and second plant when I first started successfully. I chose to propagate and experiment in perlite and in leca, and they both took quickly, like after 10 days. And unfortunately they died because at that time I didn't understand the caretake of the plant. So once they developed roots and I had them in the wrong soil medium, they died. So I have not taken any cuttings from these plants, but I appreciate them, and I don't think I want to. I want to just let them grow and enjoy them. Okay, so anyways, if you were to propagate this plant, where would you take your cutting? I would take this cutting right here at this node. So you've got some leaves. You could even take a single node, which I've tried. You can do 2 nodes or you can do 3 nodes, okay? So just for right now, I'm gonna say right here. I'm gonna cut right above this node so these leaves stay here. So when I take that cutting, this is gonna promote new growth right at this point. Now I'm left with this, right? What do I do with that? Immediately after I take my cutting, I'm going to put rooting hormone, which I use Gringo Rasta, and I'm going to place this in perlite and put her in a prop box under a grow light. So the key to propagating this plant really needs humidity, heat, and light. So after 10 days, roots will form, and it's similar to the Hoya Bella as far as where the roots will come. They don't just not only come at the nodes here, they actually come and the roots push out in the stem too, which makes for an easy propagation. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to click on that like button. Also, if you're interested in plant care content, click on that icon to subscribe to my channel.